anything repaired or even a simple bike pad to run your day.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Brother!
I'm not carrying any dead bodies back.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
Blah, blah, nigga. All right, let's go.
Are we gonna do the anime voice competition thing right now? Or are we see the Oni-chan?
Oni-chan! Chotomate, iku?
Uru-uru?
Chocolate chips.
Amazingly engrossed like that.
Hey, what up, Angel? You are first. Are first. And I appreciate it. It means a lot.
Like this.
Also excited to play this. Hello, Governor. Hello. I don't know what that's the voice I imagine. Hello. Alright. Close that. Okay. Open that.
Yeah, right.
James E's excited for this one too. So you played them all, huh?
I got my face.
Yeah, you have. Shit. And the deluxe remaster, which I need to play that one. It's been so long since that's the voice I'm using. Oh, it's that gross gutter Cockney accent.
Biscuits.
My name is. Alright, hold on. Let me fucking move this over.
Oh, so
Hit play. Alright, everything's launching. Bongo Cat got an upgrade. Oh shit, where'd he go? Bongo Cat, no. Oh. Let's see. Can I force this to go borderless gaming? Yeah, fucked up teeth and slur everything. That exactly. Yeah, you get it. Hold on, let me see if I can force this to be borderless. So I can get my boy back. Bongo, we're gonna fix this. Come on, Bongo. Fuck. Alright, let me update the stream title. Bongo Cat. He's gone. I said he got an upgrade too, which I'm annoyed, but yeah, he has controller support now. Isn't doing it. Bongo Cat, you're embarrassing me. You fuck. Oh, wait, move this over. Oh, it's because it's not windowed. Damn. Whatever, I don't care anymore. Oh shit, you have an ad, don't you? Does it say an ad's coming up? I could wait 3 minutes for that to pass, and then I'll play this. I don't want anybody to miss the beginning. I'm supposed to be talking. That's what I'm supposed to be doing during the first ad break. Get this shit out of the way, you know? I kind of missed these. Yeah, hold tight. Tight. Will do. All right, well, how's your night going? Got one of my favorite zombie movies on right next to me. Trying to get in the mood, you know? It's just the original Night of the Living Dead. On VHS, baby! That's a vibe. Let's see. I'm trying to think of like what zombie movies would have inspired this. For sure, like Dawn of the Dead. That kind of changed the game. As far as like City Apocalypse goes, and then Day of the Dead. Underrated gem right there. You know, I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I like Land of the Dead. That's the last of the Romero zombie. Oh, that's the last of the Romero zombie movies that I enjoyed. Like Diary of the Dead was alright, but then Survival of the Dead, not quite my tempo. That's going pretty well. Taking a little break, but I'm like 75% through work. For the day or for like the week? 75%? You still have stuff to do. Got shit to do. See, I was hoping for borderless so I can just like go over there and click, you know? That's kind of... Is Army of the Dead a Romero movie? Army of the Dead is a Zack Snyder movie. It's like a... I think he said it's not in the same continuity, but it is like a weird spiritual successor to his Dawn of the Dead. Because he made that 2004 Dawn of the Dead movie. And it's a remake of the Romero one. And then yeah, Army of the Dead was just him being given full control to make something fucking weird. And that's a weird fucking movie. I liked it, but I'm kind of more curious on like the world he's supposed to be building. Like Legend says he's supposed to be doing like an anime, which I think is storyboarded and like semi animated, but there was like a distribution something, I don't know, it's like low-key kind of canceled, but he says it could come back. And like he also had that Army of Thieves. There was an Anime of the Dead. Is that what it's gonna be called? Hey, what up, Bryn? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like the Army of the Dead was supposed to have like an anime series spinoff, and they had that weird prequel where it was like that thief dude, the safe cracker, zombie anime. You know what's funny? The way I read that, I was like, a zombie anime in this economy? But like I said, it's low-key possibly canceled, but it's like semi-produced though, so it's like, give it. Well, I mean, there's an anime called High School of Dead. Another banger. That shit was weird. I fucking loved it. There's that part on the bridge when the dude's like sniping zombies and he's using her titties to like stabilize it. And then there's that one part a bit on the hornier side. That movie's like full horny. There's that one part where it's like they matrix bullet the camera, right? And he's like shooting zombies, and this chick, she has her sword and she's attacking zombies. But my favorite part of that whole bit is she's bouncing around everywhere, and like there's a part where the slow-mo bullet's coming and it's like under this boob and then under that one. It's fucking amazing. It's so dumb. Yeah, but Rin, that was so long ago. The only scene I remember from High School of the Dead, yeah, that's the one. That and then the otaku dude with like the nail shooter, nail gun. Is that what that's called? I love how that's the one. See, everyone remembers exactly. There's also what's that new one? It's like Zombie 100, something like that, where it's like it's a zombie apocalypse, but like he loves it. Zom 101. Yeah, is that any good? It looked cool. It looked cool. Like it's the zombie apocalypse, but he's just like, fuck yeah, I don't have to work tomorrow, which I get. Oh boy, I feel that. I heard it's good. I think there's like a movie or a live action adaptation now, but oh yeah, they got a live action version 2. Is that good? Because like I love Mob Psycho 100. Here, I'll get to the game eventually. I'm just, you know, just us girls here. High key related. Yeah, dude, or relate 100%. But I was gonna say, I love Mob Psycho 100. I fucking hate that live action show. It's like half the fun of Mob Psycho is just that spectacular animation, and then now it looks like I need to get to Mob Psycho. Dude, it's great. It's really fucking good. Oh shit. Now, is this one of those games where I'm watching this and it's just the first cutscene? It's like, because I will sit here and watch all of this, and then if I start the game and see this exact same fucking cutscene, I'll do nothing. I heard it's goated. Dude, it's pretty damn good. Also, I've never seen much shows where, oh, you don't actually have to look it up, but I appreciate that. Every intro to that show is like a 10 out of 10. I never got around to it, but I loved 1 and 2. To this one, actually, I think so. Actually, it's the beginning cutscene. Okay. I'll just skip it. Also, I'm sorry. I like subtitles. I be talking too much, and then they have weird names sometimes. Story mode, baby. All right, story mode includes autosaves and time enough for completion of the story and side content. If you want to do it all, do it here. At any time, use chapter select to reset your timeline to a chapter you completed. You'll keep your character progress, making the challenges easier next time through. Oh shit, really? Wait, that's like the opposite of what happens in the other one. The other one, it's like, go bitch, go! You got 4 minutes. Okay, matchmaking? No, wait, hold on. Choose playstyle determines the appropriate matchmaking. No, fuck off, I'm doing this alone. Single player. Yeah! Nice. Yeah, I liked 1 and 2. I haven't played them. I didn't beat them since like they came out. I keep starting them. But I beat 4, what, in January? I'm going back in time to this one. Let's go. Yeah. Initial report of a single zombie infection. Los Perdidos. Vacation incidents reach 500 downtown. I always like these. Oh man, I should turn VSync on. Here's my favorite though, admittedly, having to dedicate time figuring out where the next Zombrex, where to get Zombrex sucks. Yeah, that's fair. I think 2, that's your favorite, right, Angel? I like 2 for, honestly, I think the combat was better. You had funnier combinations. But yeah, you're right, the Zombrex for my little daughter. Little bitch. I still fucks with it though. 48 hours, that's all it took, damn. They should do a prequel and call it 40 or for the movie 28 hours later. Like the first day. Yeah, 2 is my fave. Yeah, tight. Post outbreak. Sorry. Also, Cell Dweller soundtrack for the boss fight goes hard. Wait, Cell Dweller did the boss fight music in 2? You know that?
I gotta find a way out of this.
The only song I could think of that they made was some of them, yeah. Nice, I didn't know that. The only I could think of is that one that was in Sin City.
Shit.
You know that one, right? I don't even think it has words. No, it does have words. I don't know what it's called though.
He's in there.
Yeah, I'm about to turn VSync on.
Don't know why the hell I volunteered for this.
1%. No missed frames though. That's good. All right, hold on. Let me do that. Say, if you're one of those settings that forces me to fucking restart.
Around here somewhere.
Snack. Nom nom.
I need more than that.
Hungry boy. A bagel. Oh, dude, I want a bagel. You know what I want? I want,
Gonna have to bust
lox and capers. That sounds so fucking good right now. Take that gate.
Wasn't too
E,
hard.
I'm so geeked you're playing this one finally. I am too. Like, I've been wanting to play it. I just didn't get around to it, okay? Also, I like the setting. Like, this one's supposed to be like the biggest map. Well, actually, no. 4 was fucking gigantic, but at the time, it's supposed to be huge. Huge.
They really don't want me to get in there.
Is this really 100 and... My frame rate should be high as fuck right now. It looks kind of choppy chop. Oh, 60 hertz. Oh, I changed you. God damn it. Gaslighting me. All right. Oh, we're fine. All right, I think we're good. You're here now. Hell yeah.
Hello? Anybody here?
I'm pretty excited. I just want to attack some zombies, you know? Mixing it up. I finished RE Revelations 1. At some point... Oh, shit. I think Lemon's in town, actually. So no RE6 tomorrow. There might be more of this. But I have like 1, maybe 2 more sessions with that left. Oh, there will be zombies. Oh, Lord, they coming. So yeah, RE6 will be done soon. And then I just have a few spin-offs, but those, a lot of them can actually be finished in a stream. And by a lot, I mean like maybe 2 of them. Then I'll have my glorious return to Resident Evil VR. Yeah, I'm not too excited, but just because I know it's ending, I'm gonna start streaming Resident Evil Reverse soon. She. What up, Dry? How you doing? Oh shit! Wait, what do I do? What do I do? Aim. Oh god, it's loud. Okay. Oh, that's spooky. Not much, man. Just chilling. Hello, Dry. That's good. We turn shit down. I hope you're having a good night. Oh shit! Fuck you! God damn it! No. Night's kind of shitty. Oh no! No shitty nights. Only Jay understands. Oh, because the smoking? I'm rooting for you, buddy. You got this. I'm not trying to be condescending either, so I hope I don't come across that way, but I am rooting for you. Good, Jay. How you doing? Oh, I guess I killed it. Doing goods? Good. Jay! Thanks, bud. You like me! You really like me! How you doing? I appreciate that. I appreciate you. You was kind, you was important, and you was smart. I don't know if that's the order, but that's what you is, okay? W, a whole year of fap into a black man. Well, I'm only half black, so does that mathematically equate to 6 months of fap into a black man? These are the hard-hitting questions. How do I switch weapons? Is there a weapon wheel? No. You've grown as a person, Jay. 3/5 of 6 months. Nice. Hold on. How do I switch weapons? Okay. There we go. Whee! Three-fifths of a year. Nice. Perfectly balanced. Oh shit! No, wait. Bitch! Get my gun back. Or my fire axe. Just wanted to eat. I'm excited to play this one. I think 4 was fine. It's just like,
What the hell?
Frank felt different. It went on kind of long. I like the Christmas theme, but so many fucking elves, bro. So many elves in that game. I bet even the most festive of towns, not every single person is going to dress up as an elf. That's insane. If you like how 4 played, you'll love this. Yeah, it played fine. The thing I liked about 4 also was the lack of a time limit. Like, I know that's Dead Rising. That's like integral almost, but it was convenient. Apparently, yeah, from what I read in the beginning of this, when I was picking the game, like, a lot more forgiving on that front. What's this guy's name? Mike or some shit? Let me see. Oh, Nick.
Oh shit.
Aw, shit.
Oh god.
Oh, jeez, Rick. Sweet. Oh, shit. You're dead. You're fucking dead. I think by the end you'll love this one the most. Probably. I'm all out of nudes. Can I have one of yours? Smooth. I should be writing this shit down, dude. That's pretty good. Yeah, I think so. Like I said, at the time of release, because I didn't have an Xbox One, and then eventually they ported it to PC. But at the time of release, I liked the setting and like the look of this one. Nice attempt, but no. LOL. Hey girl, are you from Mississippi? Because you're like,
Hey girl, are you from Mississippi? Cause you're the only miss who's piss-eyed sippy.
Jesus Christ. This is cool. These are cool. You know, I'm a big fan
Hey girl,
of.
are you from shit in Mammothvilles?
My mouth bills. Nice. I'm a fan of really good title credit sequences, you know? Fucking Jaws in hell. Epilepsy warning, jeez. Sorry. Damn. Dude, this is a good intro. It's funny, you're good. Yeah, if you
Get back to the others.
pissed her off, you know it. Let's go. Can I run? What's the run button? Oh, okay. Oh shit! Alright. I'm coming, bitch! Oh, Emily's dead. Oh shit, stamina. Dan! Dan, no! And Cindy. Fuck! We lost another one. Period! Wait, that's all I saw. What are we talking about? This game needed to be good because it was a launch game for the Xbox One. Oh, okay, okay. I did. Oh, it was, huh? I realize that. Do it! Oh shit! that was awesome.
So messed up.
He's Mexican. I need to work on my Spanish insults. Combine a dildo and screwdriver. Yeah, I'll do that. I call it the dildozer. That Microsoft cable box. Oh, nice. LMAO. I didn't know you were coming over. Hey, I'm away, girl. What up, Cash Cow? How you doing, dude? You having a night as fun as mine?
How am I gonna get back to the diner?
Hold on, let me eat first. Okay. Shit, the axe is about to break. I'm not a girl, but you can pretend I am. Coming over now. Yeah. Have you played this one, Cash Cow? You're an Xbox guy. Oh shit, no. Alright, fuck. Alright. This is actually kind of creepy. That was the thing I like about these also. It's just like the impressive amount of fucking zombies, you know? Kills zombies to earn PP. Alright. Oh shit, alright. Okay. Cool. Oh, I thought I would go in there and like take a poo-poo like in oh, what's that game? No More Heroes? Would you take a shit to save your game? Am I being followed? No. Alright, idiots. This way. Taking a shit. Proof. I'm pretty sure you sit on the toilet to save your game in No More Heroes. I never played it, but I thought that was something that I saw when my first roommates played it. Get that. No. Yes. What else we got? Yeah. Yeah, the old one he would animate.
Damn, Joey. You shit with that ass, cuz I have a potty mouth.
Where do you come up with these, dude? Yeah, the old one he would animate in RQ. Real quick.
Almost there.
Dead Rising 1 and 2, they definitely did a little animation. Oh, to like go in toilet. In the loo.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I'm liking this so far. See, I've heard you shit with that ass. I never heard the second half of that. Never heard anybody add on to it.
Okay, Nick?
Bravo.
Hi, Annie.
Thought you guys were goners. You find anything? Maybe some food or a gun?
Found this out there. It might be useful.
I gotta get out of here, man.
The loo.
Family to get back to? Parents?
Don't have any.
Me neither.
Yeah, sometimes you're better off that way.
Crawling in my skin. These wounds. Oh shit, is that Zombrex?
We're almost out of everything.
You know, if you're kind, it just got Zombrex.
Fucking love it. It's so proper.
We might not be in this mess.
Those people.
Don't they call it the head in
They're prisoners.
military?
They're following the law. Those GPS chips have Zombrex in them. They keep infected people from turning zombie.
Oh, really? Must not have worked too well. Look outside.
You still gotta check out those not Last of Us, Dead Rising movies. Hey, that looks like Kmart, Frank West over there. Look at him. That's basically Frank West in 4. But yeah, I remember really liking that first Dead Rising movie. The second one, not so much.
I don't want to die.
No, mother. It'll be alright.
Mother,
I'm not gonna let anything.
they're fucking.
I'm so scared.
Okay, mother.
God. Look at that one. It's like it knows something about when it was alive.
We are all going to die. No!
Oh, you dumb bitch. At some people. Yeah, they're still on my watch list. Nice. I think they were on Prime or something. Oof. Or they're like Crackle. It was definitely one of the free streaming services that had it. I think it might have been Crackle.
Okay, everybody, get ready to run.
I mean, where the hell are we gonna go?
My garage in Ingleton. The walls are thick. It'll buy us some time to think. Maybe the TV will work.
If we have to get out of here, that's fine, but I'm not going any garage. People are waiting for me.
Girlie, you're better off with us.
Take my chances.
Your sparrows are out.
Nick, those zombies are gonna get in here any second. We gotta do something.
There's nothing to fight them off with.
You're good at fixing things. There's a lot of stuff around here.
Let me see if I can put
You
something
think she's still
together.
breastfeeding him? Probably. As long as like that, I wouldn't be surprised.
Okay, think.
Oh really? Just like this? Oh shit. Oh, so that started with this. I thought that was the thing that started in 4, just building on the spot.
Now get ready to
Give
run.
that shit to Rhonda. Let's get a move on.
Rhonda.
Okay, everyone. We gotta leave through the back door.
Alright.
Gotta be less zombies back there.
Follow me, Networky Magic. Hold on. I see stuff to pick up. Hold on. I know they're coming in. No, you fucking move. Move! Take this fucking microwave. Oh, it doesn't work like that. Damn it. I'll take these plates. There we go. All right, let's go. Let's go. Oh yeah, let me. Bonus PP? Shit. I got you, bitch. Follow me. Hey guys, good? Hey guys, just fucking retarded as survivors in the series prior to this. Yes, it looks like you are. Dick, Rhonda, get the fuck over here. Oh shit, handgun. Alright, let's go.
Ingleton's that way.
Get drunk. I love it. You really haven't seen much of the gameplay. It's like playing it for the first time all over again. Yeah, I haven't seen much. Like I saw the launch trailer and I heard people don't like this one. That's literally all I know about this franchise right now with this game. Dead Rising 3 is the black sheep, or you know, whatever people like to say. Whatever clickbaity title. I played Dead Rising 3 and it is not what I expected. Over it. Get in the car.
Get in the car. Get in the car.
Oh fuck, those people. I love this one. I'm glad you like it. I like it so far. You know, it's funny. I already like it more than 4. Not killing elves over and over is a big plus. Hop in, pimp. Come on, brother. Coming. Coming on you, coming on you. Oh shit. Oh, I gotta give you guys shit. Oh shit. Get the fuck over here, bro. I have to like high five you? Go. Come on. Oh shit, sorry, I thought you were a zombie. Dick. Dick, get up here. Come on, Dick. Come on, Dick. Okay, what do I got? Dick, you fucking piece of shit. Oh, I do have the microwave. Here, I'll give you a microwave. And then... Oh. I'm trying to help you. Isn't there... What's the... Come on! Come on! Where's that button?
Oh my god! Watch out, pal!
Hey, help me help you, bro. Did I drop it? No, I didn't. Alright, I tried, buddy. You guys have to keep killing things? I don't know what to do. Get in the fucking car. Alright, bye, dude. Bye, Taylor. I tried. Take out all the zombies. I thought I did. Alright, I mean, I'll keep killing. There's a lot of zombies to take out, though. I do have to say. But I can do it. The fuck? Shut the fuck up. Nice. Just around him. Shit. Alright, Taylor. Fuck you, Taylor. I'm about to leave. I'm about to leave him. Nick! I have an idea. There we go. Can I combine anything? No, but I can do this. Fuck you! Ah, where is it? Where is it? Okay, and then... Fuck! Smooth. Oh man, that sucked. Oh, it moved all the way over there. Better late than never, I guess. Oh, I didn't mean to throw it. Taylor, get the fuck down here, Taylor. You should just leave. I'm about to. I tried, Taylor. You had your chance. Alright, hop in, guys. Rhonda! Rhonda, get in the fucking car. Rhonda! She in? Okay, bye. I tried to be good. Going the long way. The long way. Oh shit. Steal another car. It's Kendo's shop. Oh shit.
Get off my ride.
A long way. Dude, that's like one of the best memes I've ever fucking seen. Fuck off the car. Oh, okay. All right, let's go, guys. Everybody out. Peanut butter jelly the long way. Ah! All right, guys.
Let's go.
Come on.
It's the whole damn country.
Where are the police?
You look like Terry Bogard.
Where's the army?
Should be safe in here for a while.
You better look around, make sure none of them are in here, okay? No more.
Hey, wait a minute. This guy, he's got one of those GPS Zombrex chips right there.
Hey! Those are supposed to dose infected people with Zombrex, keep them from turning. And if they do turn, it's supposed to track them. I mean, isn't that the whole point?
Looks like it's tracking him. So maybe it ran out.
Supposed to happen.
And none of this was supposed to happen.
We need some news. We need to find
Hey, that
out
poster
what's
looks
going on
like
out
Zombie
there
Ed
and help
from
us
Shaun of the Dead. Hey, don't leave the crowbar. Butter jelly the long way.
Damn it. TV's on the fritz again. I'm gonna have to mess with those wires. Probably gonna take me a couple hours, Nick. You might want to see if you can find anything out there. But be careful.
BDC. Still a good name.
Mother! Hey, hey! Wait!
Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hello, please? Can you help? We're trapped in a...
Oh, man, I can see your mouth moving, but I ain't hearing nothing.
What?
I can't hear you, man. Your mic is busted, dang it.
I can hear you. You can see me, right? Can you help? Are you a cop?
Am I a cop? Oh, that is a good one, man. I am a professional office sanitation management technician. Yeah, no, I just ran.
Hello. Hello.
I hold up in some surveillance room.
Medea answers the phone.
Civil defense shit, the ZDC. Yeah, found the body prop and the door open, so locked my ass in here straight up. The name's Jamie Flint. Nick.
Amy Flint.
I see your shirt there, cowboy. So here's the deal. I can't call no one but you.
Oh, I gotta save him, huh?
But, you know, it ain't all bad. I got a bag of chips and a bank of monitors. I'm getting the hang of this civil defense system shit. Looks pretty sick. So, just hang on to this thing, man. I will call you back if I see anyone alive who needs help. Plus, maybe you can help me out with a couple of extra things if you are so.
What you need, baby?
So, listen.
Here, sugar.
Those illegals got some nice hideouts around town. There's one
Legals.
just north of you and Engletown is perfect for folks to wait this thing out. Yeah, a good place to store stuff too. So you check it out, and I will call you.
I bet. Need some nom noms. You guys need some nom noms too. Actually, no, they're fine. They're full health. I guess fuck you then. Pipe. We get that crowbar. Oh shit. What do I have? Thick ass fingers. Yeah, I was thinking that too. Good little sausages over there. Clubbed fingers. His cardiovascular system's not up to snuff. I think it's one that happens. Like, you ever see club fingers? They're terrifying. It's like little dicks with fingernails on them. Give you the glasses? Hell yeah, brother. Shit. You a cop? You a cop? Go in here. Oh, Rhonda. Oh, Rhonda. Ew. Did you Google club fingers? Tell me I'm wrong.
I'll be back.
Like a little cocktail will scratch you. I shoot that? Is that collectible? Oh, toy robot. Back in the box, cardboard box, and toy robot. Okay. Oh, wrong button. That'll take some getting used to. Hold it, and then combo. Thanks, Joe. I can't see that shit.
Right on.
Nick, there's a hot little illegal chick over by the Ingleton Motel.
Can you stop calling them illegals, bro? Let me go save her, but let me swap out some stuff. Welding mask? Sure. And your posse for extra fighting power. Tight, 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 tight. How far? Match. Let's see, map and missions. Use the map screen to find points of interest, keep track of mission progress. I want another hop splat. Be right back. Ah, that hurts. I'm gonna pee while I'm up. That's why. Messing around a kid. I didn't mean like that, but you know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like I should. Until you start cussing. Honestly, you gotta bump those numbers up. You don't cuss enough. You boys want a pee-pee cam? When? Right now. This is it. Take you guys with me, alright? I feel like the Joker video, you know? I'm a man of my word. And this is for you. you, Cyber. Let's see. Camera's not big enough, buddy. I'll need an upgrade. Here, try. This is for you. A Hawk Tua for you. Oh yeah, that's funny. I think last time I mentioned my sisters, I was talking about Cyber Lycan. I was like, he's such a Chad. I love him so much. I'd let him date one of my sisters. But only Cyber. But he's taken, so you can't. UB Cam, it's what the people want. One day. I'll stream that on my OnlyFans. Oh, you know, after without her face. Can't give that shit away for free. The legend shows the meaning of the different. Oh yeah. That's what legend is. No. Not that dumb. You can select a mission as your primary. Yup. Waypoint. Cool. Go save this bitch. She's not that far. Alright, how do I get out of here? Yeah. The fuck out! Oh, I thought that was a door. It looks very door-esque. I guess it's this way. What weapons do I have? Okay, nothing that's about to break. I don't want to. Oh, I'm about to break. Can't help it, guys.
Here goes nothing.
Oh, yeah, I can run. Oh, nice. 冰淇淋。速度与成就，我最希望，所以现在是因为时间。Come on, Bob. Wait, are you Bob? Oh shit. Who is you? Hey, what up? You're Bob. Oh shit. I got you, Bob. Speaking of Bob, you guys should watch Thunderbolts. It's pretty good. Level 2. Yeah. All right, bye, Bob. Mwah. Oh wait. Oh fuck. Oh, I want that. I want that. I want that. The tragic ending nearby. Inspect the situation to gain PP. Grenade. Oh shit. I need more item slots. Fuck out of here. Oh jeez. Oh, they're coming from everywhere. I have an idea. I have an idea. Yeet. Oh shit. Oh fuck, wrong way. There we go. Oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck, oh fuck. Alright, that was close. Where's this tragic ending? What do I do? I suck. Let me out. Let me out. I don't want to play anymore. Hey, Matt. Shh. I'll get up there.
That was close.
Okay, let me climb up there. There's a combo blueprint nearby. Sweet. Oh, no, fucking stop it. Okay, alright. I'll get up there. Oh, that's how. The blueprint's probably in this room, I'm guessing, because it's got a lock on it. Can I just like... Oh, I can. Ah. There's a Frank statue nearby? Hi, Shotty. Looking for a bit. Hope you're having fun. I'm having a blast. What up, Shotty? How you doing? Hello, Audie. Hello, Angel. Hello. What'd it do? Love that sound. Nanners. Hey, Anna. Where is this blueprint? How do I find it? Oh, it's locked. Oh, fuck. Hey, bitch.
Cool painting, but you do know there's a zombie outbreak going down, right?
Get a clue and mind your own business. Don't mess with me, okay?
Oh, shit. My camera's still off.
Serious shit.
Oops.
Okay, whatever. But looks like you're out of paint, so why don't you just get somewhere safe and finish it later?
There won't be a later if I don't get this done. Wait, who are you with? Huh? Are you a snitch?
What? No, I'm not a snitch. What are you talking about? Why is this so important?
It's not for me, it's for people like me, the ones who live off the grid because of those fascists.
Okay.
Illegals. Wait, you mean this sign means there's a safe place nearby? Safe from zombies?
Don't call me an illegal. Yes, that's why I have to finish, but my cannons are dried to shit. I need 3 more to get this done.
You mean spray paint? Cannons. That's cool. Sure, I'll try to get you 3.
Where they at, though? Oh, thank you. Word football. Alright. Nearest one is Overdale. Fall damage. I hope if I give her that, she gives me the fucking key so I can just get in there and get some shit. Which I'm assuming that's what happens. We ah! No, don't stop it, stop it, stop it. Shit. I can. Ah, okay, that's actually kind of scary to get close to. Audie, dry. I have an idea. I'll come back to it. Oh, it's not in here, is it? You idiot! What are you up to, Audie? You enjoying your night? Stop pushing that button, Joey. Stop pushing that button. But actually, this is gonna work out because it's gonna explode.
Hell no!
Oh shit, hold on. Actually, it's in there, isn't it? Is it gonna explode? I think it's gonna explode. Yeah.
Looks like I got some bread. Gotcha.
Where's that Frank statue, though? Chainsaw? A motherfucking chainsaw. What?
Oh crap!
You can use any car with blinkers lights, Joe. Gonna shower and have a good little cry sesh. Why? What's wrong? Sorry to hear that. sorry, Shotty. Hope you feel better. Buddy, what's good, man? I hear the statue. Is it in here? Yeah, I hope you feel better. On like the second floor, maybe? How nearby is it, is the question. Can I open these? You need someone to talk with while you shower, you can always VC me. Hello, buddy. Oh, there's a blueprint.
Whoa, pieced out monk in the Zen gardens in Ingleton. Looks kind of lonely, man.
New psycho mission? Oh, I'm not sure if I'm ready for that. Let me see what the blueprint. Mecha dragon? Dragon head and a parasol? The parasol. Yeah, I'll just leave the grenade. What's a parasol? Like a sword. I guess it's a sword. Oh shit. Oh shit, that's right. Oh. Oh, is that how you drop? Bocce. Armchair. Is it the firecrackers? It's probably the firecrackers. Oh. Alright, well, whenever I find a parasol, we'll be good. Be Gucci. Go catch. Usually when you find a blueprint, you can find items. Yeah, I know. That's what I was looking for, but I didn't see parasol. It's okay, I'll run into more. I don't want to do a psychopath yet. Or should I just nut up and do it? They don't expire, do they? Oh, they do, don't they? That's what that line means. The umbrella? Is that what a parasol is? Should I be embarrassed? Because I am. Alright, well, next umbrella. I didn't mean to kill it. Damn it. The gasp was real. God damn it, Castle! Yes, Joe. Well, now I know. Yeah. It's okay, there will be more umbrellas. I'm trying to pull. Hold on, look at the map. You have unspent attribute points, so that's fine. I know how to spend the. I know what they do, dude. Skill points, fuck off. What is that? Where's the legend? Why? Collectibles? There is a collectible in there. Hold on. I suck. Hold on. I got here eventually, guys. Forgive me.
Oh my god.
Oh, it's in the other. It's over here. Hold on. It'll be worth it. I fucking love it. Yeah. Oh, who knows? Maybe the thing spawned. Is it on the second floor? Is it? Hold on. How do I get in there? I see it on the map. That's what I'm trying to do. I see it on the map. I'm trying to get in there. I think it's in this little... Ah, shit. Dude, the katana fucks. It's in there, but it's locked. Shit. You know, I don't care anymore.
Oh, crap!
Your inventory space? Oh. Player. Alright. Inventory. Hell yeah, brother. Thank you. Best viewers? Fuck off! PP trials? Oh. Oh shit, nice. That was actually an accident, but it looked cool.
Damn it, get off!
Get your filthy hands off me, you damn dirty zombie!
Nice. Nice reference. Sick reference, bro.
Get your filthy hands off me, you damn dirty zombie! I owe you my life.
Make it up to me?
Got it.
Oh shit. Motherfucking chainsaw. What? Oh nice, I found the parasol. Oh, leave me alone, leave me alone. Fuck off, wait! Got the fuck out. The fuck? I get this too? Eh. Tight, tight, tight. Or, get off. Don't fucking touch me! Dropped it in the house. No, no, no. It's still in my inventory. I just switched. I picked up the katana and I switched. Thank you for letting me know though. We Gucci. What the fuck? Like I'm like the Rocketeer. I'm coming, girl. No, don't die. Oh fuck! Hold on. Really? I'm not gonna. What the fuck is happening? Okay, I'm coming.
There it is.
Are you good? I think I saved her.
I've got to get out of here.
Gucci. Oh shit! Nice, another statue. Tight, 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 tight. Love that sound. All right, let's go. I do a wheelie? No. I wasn't sure if this was gonna work or not. Got your fucking spray paint. She sees me, she's like, what the fuck are you wearing? I was like, it's tactical, trust me. I'm flying at zombies. Oh fuck, I got a shiny. I don't even know what a pill dove is. A pie dove.
Respect. You're all right. Listen, you can take people to places you see marked like this, okay?
I respect that you guys do this, even though you get so much shit from people.
You just pose. Q. Alright,
Hope
good.
this helps
You're
them.
so good. Look at that.
Streets while I'm still kicking. You should too.
Hey, you know, you can come with me now if you want.
Okay, but don't be thinking you're gonna get any because I don't do dudes, all right?
Alright, never mind. You just fucking stay. I don't care.
Yo, a whole new level.
Can't make an exception for the guy who saved your life, huh? I'm sorry. I'll stop. Good. Okay, what do we got?
Hey, reality's on this planet.
Ew.
This'll do.
Download. Okay, what is this? A punk. Oh shit.
Do the job.
That looks kind of cool. Gang leader. What are those?
What the hell is this?
Oh, actually, I kind of like the mechanic outfit. Kind of a basic bitch. I don't know if you guys noticed.
Smells a little funny.
And this is kind of rad too. Yo, someone say best viewers? I already have the best viewers. They're already here. Fuck off. How's your Expedition 69 going? Oh, let me save. Oh, let me give her an item. Nice. Drop this. I'm gonna give you this, so you can at least not be
Here's
useless.
something.
And
Oh, cool.
my sword, you can't have it, bitch. Oh, my hair is terrible. I can't be caught dead outside with this. Currently watching Golden Knights game on TV. Oh yeah, there is a fucking game tonight. Overtime. Are we winning? Are people like wording that? Oh, I fucking ruined my bike. Hurry the fuck up! Where do I take her? Do I take her back to our place? Talk to Rhonda. What are these? What is a star again? Survival training, safe zone. Oh, wait. Okay, I'm supposed to take her to a safe zone, right? There's a safe zone right here. Am I doing this wrong? Or whatever. Follow me. Alright, hop on, pimp. They in the playoffs, tied. Nice. Tight, tight, tight. We're gonna die. It's a side mission. Well, where am I taking her though? Legend missions. Like I have this guy that I can kill. I think I finished this mission technically, didn't I? I guess there's a safe house here, so I'll just take her back with me. You're coming with me. Oh shit! Okay, that was close. Oh, never mind. I'm wrong. Sorry. I'm gonna shut up. No, don't shut up. I like talking with all of you guys. I just don't know where to put her. We were in a safe house. Like, swap item? No. The fuck off button. Oh, maybe I should have killed that dude. Tactical handgun?
Meanwhile, the search for President Paddock.
Hey, it's what's her face? Everyone shut up.
Going conference that is happening right now.
Oh, that politician chick. What was her fucking face?
Former General John Hemlock, which is already in progress. Please stay with us.
Shut up, bitch!
We've not yet
Nice.
confirmed the cause of the ongoing outbreak, but it was almost certainly initiated by the turning of an illegally infected, unchipped person.
Unchipped. Okay.
Let this tragedy be a reminder to all Americans.
I kind of hate his outfit now.
Non-Brex chipping is the law. Los Perdidos has been quarantined for the safety of those both
Who's she?
within and without until the president is located. The threat of contamination remains high. Therefore, in 6 days, once we are certain all survivors have been rescued, we will have no choice but to deploy a large incendiary bomb, destroying all organic life within the city limits.
Tight.
What the hell? I am freaking organic life right here.
All civilians are urged to report to a military quarantine station for chipping and
Spray some organic lives on your face.
A list of stations will follow shortly, I am told.
Holy shit. Quarantine station at Production Bridge? Jesus. I mean, how the hell are we gonna get there? We can't walk and drive is not so safe either.
We could fix up one of those.
Or both. Reinforce one with the other? Combine them to make something stronger? Yeah, that's the same idea I had. Just run with it.
See what you can do, kiddo.
Let's do it. Is what's your face still here? Anna, go away. Oh, what the fuck? Stuff's exploding. Okay, press 4. Combo vehicles. Actually, let me go back to saving. Oh no, survivors. Okay. Just survivor commands. They can follow. Go where you ask. Scavenge attack. How do I send them home? Stranded survivor. Safe zones. Okay. Sure. Please clear my make safe again. Gain access to all the lockers. Survivor bulletin board. I mean, how do I dismiss her?
Shut up, bitch!
Sorry about the cooldown. It was getting abused. I had to, because I don't mind the spam. What I do mind is having it stuck on screen. I know. Sorry. Tell you what, actually, because it's not Jay ruined it. Yeah, Jay ruined it. Like, it's fair. We were fucking up his streams, but like I said, I don't like having to alt tab over to refresh the thing, only to have him do it again. And I have to fucking alt tab over to refresh, the cache in OBS. It was annoying, and it threw off my groove. If that was fine, like if it didn't do that, I wouldn't really care as much. Oh yeah, combo vehicles, combo garages.
Okay, shut the fuck up!
Nice. Yeah. Like I said, I wouldn't mind it if it didn't break everything. Find blueprints, combine the list of ingredients, create powerful new ones, and hold that, press R2. Dang, I gotta fucking claw it. Let's do it.
Don't give up, honey.
What are you up to, Jay? How's Returnal? How you liking it? I saw you were playing that.
Damn, honey. Hell.
It's good. Yeah, I played a little bit of it with Solid, and then I let fucking Lemon borrow it, and I haven't seen it since.
Let's get to that quarantine station.
Oh, Anna, hop in, Anna. Cool.
This is a hell of a machine, kiddo. Let's get to that quarantine station quick.
Actually, I don't want to go to the quarantine station. I want to fuck up that psychopath. Returnal's great if it had checkpoints. Oh, because it's Rogue. Yeah, you don't like Rogue, huh? Where do I shoot? Oh. Wait, Stranded Survivor. Where? There you are. I'm coming, Dana. I got you, baby. I think I shouldn't have. Alright. Bye. Love you.
Shut up, bitch!
Very nice. Shut up, bitch! Idle axe. Fuck yeah, dude. Hell yeah, dude. Ooh, let me do another one. Wait, guys, wait. Oh shit, thank you. Fucking Anna. Oh yeah. Expedition 33 has been good though. Dude, I really want to play that. Mecha Dragon. Alright. It's a new sword. It is a new sword. Alright, wish me luck. This is my first psychopath in this game. I don't know how they operate.
Enter, grasshopper.
Nice.
Find sanctuary in peaceful garden.
Holy shit. Did zombies get in? Are you okay?
Sweet anger course through us. Is how universe tell us who
Damn, Knight's lost. Shame.
Look, you know, just 'cause
Good
you're
luck.
talking
Thank
all
you.
funny like that, it doesn't mean it's making any sense.
spirit of universe has slaughtered my happiness, and so I must slaughter too. All who disrupt my garden of peace shall die.
It's not very peaceful of you.
You did this. These people were just looking for safety. You've no right to kill them.
They should drop that yo soundbite. You know what I'm talking about? Tripping. Okay, all right. You know what? Fuck! I dropped my gun. I got you, motherfucker. Whee! Oh shit. You guys should really fuck off. You're in the way. Oh, I have no food. I will zigzag. Shit, is there food in here? Oh shit. Oh shit, there is food in here. And guns? I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing, I know what I'm doing. Okay. Alright. Sword! You guys should have stayed in the car, just saying. The gong sound. Oh, I could have pressed B on him. Where'd he go? Where'd you go, you piece of shit? You up there again? Love games with me. Where the fuck did he go? Oh, he's healing. No! Dude, I don't know where he is. Is he up? If he's up somewhere, I don't see him. Out here? This is where I came from, isn't it? Oh, there he is. Motherfucker. Whee! I will abuse this. Is he up here? Oh, I gotta get the gun. Can I, what happens if I like wiggle it? Make him drop? Oh, I can. Beat his ass, beat his ass, beat his ass, beat his ass. Oh, shit. Wait, I pressed B. I pressed B. No, I'm not. Hold on, I need some juice. I need juice. Let's see, can I tackle this again? Yeah, I can.
Shut up, bitch!
No, you. Pick up, I know what to do. Welcome to the 20th century, motherfucker. Y and B? But it said just B. But I gotcha. Thank you. Nah, you didn't press B. Don't forget some lime. This is super mexy, mijo. Lay's and Tapatio. Oh, nice. My family, we actually used, it was Lay's and Louisiana style. I do want to play E33 this late or just fat. Well, why not both? Can you play it with one hand?
Kids grow up to be disrespectful brats. Now this,
Asking for a friend.
a goddamn zombie outbreak. Seriously?
Fap, then play. Well, if you fap, you might be too tired to play. So tell you what. Play, and then, you know, top it off. The pop off. Oh, nice.
Oh God. Oh.
Tired? Tired of fat? Shame. Happy, good, marquee. So that, and then like 3-second workout at most. True. I'm already tired. Back. Where's that shop? Do these have names? Head panel. Z defeated. Hell yeah, brother. Alright. Get the fuck on out of here, bitch. I go the long way. Whee! I love this. Where's the car? There it is. Oh wait, well where's that marked? Happy good mark, right here. Oh shit. Alright. Door unlocked. Yeah. Damn it. That's fine. We're gonna make more. Oh. A chainsaw. What? Or all three of these. Too much fapping. Also, why I haven't streamed this week. It happens to the best of us. Wait, there's another one. There it is. Let me drop. I guess I'll drop the chainsaw. What? Leaf blower? That might be kind of fun. Oh shit. Can he give you like some crackers or something? Hold on. You like hurt. Vitamins. And give? No, not you. God damn it.
Thank you.
Cough syrup. Nope.
Thanks a lot.
Stop. This is actually really hard to aim at what I want to give these motherfuckers. Okay, take that.
Hey, that's awesome.
What's that doing?
You're all right.
Oh, not much. Like some falafel or something? Some juice? It's just vitamins back here. Here, eat more. Eat up. Eat up, baby. God damn it.
That'll work.
Cool.
Are we saving here?
Hey, thanks.
Also, give you a katana. No, bitch, get over here. There you go. All right, go to town. Have at it. All right, I think we're good now. Actually, you need some shit too. Actually, I'm gonna give you this. Take this, Rhonda.
Okay.
No way, Jose.
Oh, you don't want it? Be that way.
This'll do.
Give you something.
Makes me purr like a kitten.
It is a little messy picking things up, but it is what it is. All right, get the fuck out of the way. All right, you guys good? Rhonda! I will leave you guys. And I get them fucking... Thank you. Not enough fapping. Which I think if I crash, funny enough, I think they fuck off a little bit. Yeah, they do. Will this way work? Hold on. Oh, okay. Okay, oh. Road closed. Just try to stop me. Now... Hold on. Ooh, I gotta go around. Alright, that's fine. I can't walk up and drive up there. I probably could walk, but... Okay. More! Check out the pics I put in your DC later, not now. What are the pictures of? Oh, fuck, I go... God damn it, the long way. E33? Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll check it out after this. His dick. Honestly, I should have checked the map to begin with. Wait, what? Why are you tutorialing me? Map. Expect situation. Is it really worth it to check these? No, probably not here. You wish, Jay. Let's pick straight to your DMs. Buff. Oh, nice. Went the right way? Okay. Nice. I mean, all your PP. All your PPR belong to us. Gone.
Can't get out of here soon enough, Wanda.
Hell yeah, guys. Wanna hop in?
Thanks. Oh my god. All right.
They reached.
I'll take my chances on my own, but thanks for your help.
Coming in? Alright, fuck you guys then. Good luck. Make good choices. Good night, everyone. Oh, peace out, Dry. Thank you for hanging out, dude. Hit something. Get off my car.
I don't know. It doesn't feel right about this.
Oh shit, wait. Can I?
We're gonna have to get through here on foot.
Oh.
Shit. Okay.
Not on my watch. Actually, yeah. Alright, everybody out. Oh, what? What? I just found this? And now I gotta leave? Oh, it's like a melee with the car. Oh shit, sorry guys. Alright, follow me. Sweet. How many points I got? 6 trials. Melee damage. More moves and your weapons don't break as much. Sure. Mechanic. Whips up combos faster. Agility. That'd be nice. Smarts. Keepers. A PP, that is. Now you can find every collectible. PP gain. Collectible detection radius. Oh. Next time. Look at all the PP.
Oh no, I am not seeing this. This is not happening.
The machete. Oh shit, wrong button. Oops.
Come with me.
Why should I follow your ass?
Hello?
Why not?
Nice. It's a pretty face.
I think it's safe to say things are a lot worse than we thought.
I miss Bongo Cat. Oh man. What was he full of? What was he full of? I'll never know. Oh. Stupid. I thought my cat was like doing like that, like it's about to throw up, but it's my fucking VCR rewinding. I panicked. Alright, that's done now. Sweet! Oh shit. Stop it! Oh shit, I got my ass kicked. Oh god! Oh my god! And you're fucked. You're gonna kill Anna! Oh, she's fine. Any guns? Am I doing this right? Am I supposed to kill these guys? I'm guessing. Oh shit, get the fuck out of the way, Anna! You're too close. Actually, no, scavenge. Okay, okay, that doesn't work like that. But that was kind of working, but I do need some num-nums. Oh shit, there is a gun here. Bitch. Oh shit, Anna. Oh. Oh my god. There you go. Oh, I forgot I could run. Anna, get the fuck out of the way! Nice, another gun. What? Raid? Oh shit! Oh damn! Hey Brixie! Hey, what'd it do? Thank you so much for the raid. Sup chat? What up, Brixie? Thank you so much. Here. Brixie. I really appreciate that. So everybody, I'm getting my ass kicked in Dead Rising 3. First time playing through it. Of course, of course. No, that means a lot. Thank you so much. You a real one. Were you playing with Devil?
Right on the D-pad. Right on the D-pad.
You have good stream? How was stream? I was Dead Rising. I never played it. Have you played any of them? I'm actually really liking this one, even though I'm doing terrible at it. Oh shit, I actually am about to die. Where's food? I need nom-noms! I need fucking noms! Okay. Nom. Anna's about to die too. Give it. Give! Oh my god! I hate this game. This game sucks. I can't pick up what I want. I take back every compliment I just said. You haven't played any of these. But keep it that way. No, I'm just kidding. No, they're fun. I just, I'm gonna die. If I die, is there at least a checkpoint here? Or dodge. I think they killed. Oh, she's still alive. I don't know fucking how. Anna, go scavenge. Go away. Get the fuck away from me. Where is she? Are you alive? Hold on. I think they killed her. I don't see her. I'm freaking out a little bit. Alright, bye Anna. I tried. Or dodge button. The fuck? Okay. I died a few times tonight. That's a cool helmet. How many hours do you think you put into Monster Hunter so far? Also, hi everybody. My name is Shattered. You can call me Shat or Joey. I'm a variety streamer who's supposed to be playing Resident Evil. What up, crack up? What up, Double? How you doing? I missed my mouth because I was panicking a little bit. I'm playing Dead Rising 3 for the first time. It's pretty good. I'll let my crash out just now fool you. I'm probably gonna die. I killed my somebody I saved. I was hoping to keep alive, but you know. Cosplay Master Craftsman in action. Cosplay Master Craftsman in action.
Some fresh meat.
Are you talking about yourself? I don't know how to read that sentence.
Is this a tasty treat or what?
Cosplay Master Craftsman in action. Oh, nice, I'm wearing the same thing. Yeah, I'm responding. Oh, how you're doing? What are you up to? Oh, okay, okay.
Just our own.
How's it? Yeah, post progress in the Dissy. I want to see more.
Little island.
I liked what I saw.
Calm down, man.
Damn. So, movie next weekend? Shave to sharpness white. Nice. Yeah, if you're still down for movie night next weekend, you should come over. You too, Brixie, if you're in town. Oh, shit. Hold on. Fuck. Did I throw my gun? Where did I throw it? It's over there. There has to be a dodge button. It's like roll. Controls. Okay. Roller help. Dodge rolls left stick. Okay, okay. Now I know. I threw my gun far. Where is it? Oh, shit. Oops. There it is. Get back here, motherfucker. It's okay. There will be more guns. Kiddo's staying home next weekend, so that's probably fine. LOL. You talking about my butthole? I'm always in town, chat. Nice. I painted it black, then gold. Yeah, you are. Master of blackface. Oh, tripping. There he is. Fuck you! Okay. I need a gun. Give me a goddamn gun! I'm so scared. Did I melee him? Oh, fuck. Crossbow. That'll do, I guess. Better than nothing. Should I combine it with explosives? Molotovs? Oh shit, there's Molotovs, dude. I'll explode. I hope I'm doing okay in this game. All my confidence was shattered during this encounter. Oh fuck yeah! Well, let me use all of this first. Okay, yeah, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna get ready to chill and lay down. I'll be lurking. Well, thank you so much for the raid, Brixie. It means a lot. Thank you. I hope you had a good stream. I hope you have an even better night. Appreciate you. Let's do this. Bring it on, motherfucker! Alright, let me get in there. Oh shit! All right, I didn't see that coming. Okay. This mistakes were made. Holy shit! Holy shit! A bottle of water and a bag of candy. All right, everything a growing boy needs. Fucking hell! No! Motherfucker. Got your ass, motherfucker. Nice. Man. GG. Thank you. Good job. Good job. I imagine Hancock every time I hear good job like that. Thanks, brother. I killed the survivor I saved, but it is what it is. It's the apocalypse. You can't save everyone.
Saved us.
Did you call me? No, I'm kidding.
Hey, what's wrong, sugar?
I do too. Nice. Good job. Like Spicky's just never fucking said.
You know, I've killed zombies, but they're already dead, right?
I
never killed a human being.
But yeah, you coming over next weekend?
Maybe.
For werewolves?
Something else I could have done.
We can. Hell yeah, brother. I'll buy pizza or something. It'll be awesome.
Nick, listen to me.
I'm down. Yes. What day works better for you, Saturday or Sunday?
It's escape or die. We gotta do what we gotta do.
I gotta get out of this outfit. It's always like you wear the goofy outfits and then the cutscenes are just like ruined.
Escape or die.
Goonies never say die. Not Friday night? Oh yeah, we did Friday night. Like, well, yeah. I usually stream Friday, but for you, I won't stream next Friday. Or Saturday. Saturday would be ideal. Saturday would be ideal, but if you stream, yeah, I usually stream, but if it means you'll come over, it doesn't really matter to me. You both stream Friday. Okay, then yeah. Oh, I read that wrong. I read that like not Friday night. Like you're saying not Friday night because we both stream. Yeah, Saturday is better for me and you, it seems. I did ask that. Oh, okay. But then it changed it. Okay. Joe, I'm kind of retarded. But yeah. Saturday, whatever time works best for you. I mean, we're trying to do 3 movies. Like do like 2 p.m.
My unit got owned by the zombies. We were over at that new museum, you know, big deal exhibit.
Or later, I don't know. My fingers are also fucked up, so typing is a pain. Oh, what'd you do, dude? What'd you do to your fingers? Hot glue? Oh, ooh. You got singed?
That's why I wanted to find you, man.
Burned the shit out of me. Oh, that sucks.
You can fix the plane, right?
What is this about a plane?
Here. It's a look, kiss your boo-boo, okay?
Donated an old military plane to the museum. My unit was supposed to get it ready.
Instant blister. Yeah, dude, one time my dumbass, I reached into my convenient, or, what are they, well, those little ovens. Those little mini oven things, I forgot what they're called. Anyway, and my pinky touched the thing, so I tried to get my little toaster strudel out, and yeah, instant blister, it sucked.
Honey, you need to get Sombrex right away, or you're gonna turn in the next few hours.
Damn it.
I'll go with your friend to this plane.
Look, it's the shipping warehouse right by the docks, man. You can't miss it.
How long do I have?
Zombrex, where am I gonna find that?
Ingleton is your best bet. There's a crematorium there. Morgues keep emergency backup of Zombrex.
Oh, that makes sense.
The dead people inside. You're gonna have to go through the sewers.
Ah, fucking sewers.
Get to that crematorium.
Sewers. Wiggity whack, yo. I don't suppose any of you are Dead Rising fans. I am. Nice. You played this one? I have not played this one. This actually, I've only. Well, after this, I would have played them all. How long has this been out? When did the Xbox One launch? it was a launch title for that. And I never owned an Xbox One until recently. But they ported it to PC. That's how I'm playing it right now.
Some scrawny dude hiding and bite the bull.
Steamroller? Hell yeah, brother. Side mission. She. Here. What'd I do? Oh. Where's the side mission? Are these all star side missions? I never played this one either. I remember 1 and 2. Yeah, I remember. Would that be like 2014? I got you, baby. I got you, baby. Coming on you, coming on you. Da, 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 da. Da, da, da. Da, 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 da. Da, da. I like how this thing flies. 100 PP. That's a lot of PP. Good. Okay. You coming with me? You my hero. Coming with? Oh. Oh, wrong button. I was trying to get in. Alright. Side missions over here. Hey, it's almost Friday, everybody. It's dark as shit in here. Where's the downstairs?
Bro, manic-looking dude at the Ingleton gun shop on the roof. Might be a jumper.
That's not my problem. This is zombie apocalypse. I don't blame him. Is it too fucked up? Sorry. How do I go downstairs? Oh, alright, found it. Ooh. Exterminator.
I'm very heavily armed, okay? Very dangerous.
Good, dude.
What are you doing in here? You're gonna freeze to death.
You think I don't know that? Hey, screw you, okay? I was scared. What else could I do?
Hey, I know it's bad out there, but the first step is to try and calm down and then...
Just fucking relax. Nobody panic.
God, I don't want to die.
Is that Kim on Johnny?
I used to base jump. Okay,
No.
Can you believe that? I like the rush, but now I can't handle this.
Some chapstick. Oh shit.
Hey, some very intense-looking chick doing some ritual over in the graveyard.
Jesus Christ, guys. Chapter just started. They're throwing missions up the ass.
Look, you're gonna die if you stay here. You were brave enough to base jump, so you must have what it takes to face what's out there.
With what? My bare hands? Look, I found some schematics for some kind of crazy combination weapon, but I can't think clearly. I can't do shit.
What do I do? Schematics. Some kind of weapon?
Or some kind of combo weapon. Look, maybe I can help you, and you can share that schematic with me.
Really?
Yeah.
You do that?
Yeah. You want?
I need a meat cleaver and a chainsaw.
A chainsaw? What?
What's out there?
Motherfucking chainsaw. What? Right now, I'm dangerous. Sorry. Fuck, I have to find all that right now. Mission. Show panel. There we go. I was fucking up. Now, Y for missions. Okay, in the cards. Find a chainsaw. Where that at? Find a meat cleaver. I feel like a meat cleaver would be in the kitchen here, so let me see if I can find that first. I bet. Actually, no, let me actually see. Oh, surprisingly, no. Chef knife. Damn it. Meat cleaver. You think it'd be in the restaurant, but it's not. Is that marked right? Am I looking at the right area? Wrong button. Get in there. I didn't mean to do that. So I'm still memorizing the controls. So are those new side missions over there, or do I just literally have to keep searching? Tragic ending nearby. Inspect to gain PPE. All right, where's the tragic ending, and how do I inspect it? It's right here. I don't see it. I don't know how this works. Whatever. So yeah, if I were to go to the maps and then find a chainsaw, what? Does that update anything over here? Like, there's a very difficult thing here. Finding out where I need to go. Where the fuck is it? I had a chainsaw, but I left it behind because I got scared and I needed other stuff to hold. But I'm gonna take it up on faith that this is where I need to go. So I'm gonna grab a motorcycle. Oh shit, a blueprint. Mini bike? What do I need for that? Build. Okay. All right, leave me alone. I don't know what I'm doing. What does mine say? Dude. What does mine say? Sweet. I mean, investigate the graveyard. Just fine, but like, I don't need to do that. I need to see where a chainsaw and a meat cleaver is. I'm about to Google it. Did I just run where? Did I just play normally and just come back when I find it? Because I could do that too. Maybe that's what they want me to do. Do the side missions either way. So far. So what do these stars do again? Legend is survival training. Oh. Good. Enemy affected safe house. We're good. Shit, I didn't even do that. Get out of the way, everybody. Alright. Really? Man, I suck. I'm doing awful in this fucking game right now. Oh, shit. Oof. This thing is... Oh, I'm stuck. Stop, bro. Ah. Destroy it to gain PP. Oh my god, there's so much to do in this game. Like, I'm very susceptible to, like, distractions in games like this. Like, I have video game ADHD or something. Where's that speaker? We're okay, we're okay. Where's the speaker? What happens if I... Oh, shit. It's up there? Oh, wrong button. Alright, catch. Oh,
Oh my god! Oh my god!
That the speaker?
Oh, shit.
Yeet! Yeet! Oh, there's a speaker. Oh, get going. Go on the bike. Okay, that's rougher than it needed to be. Let's do smarts, 'cause I need some. And then let's do.
Everything's going to hell. Oh no, not these guys again.
Fuck off. Shit. Going the right way. I guess investigate the graveyard. We got time for that. Ooh. Another speaker.
Man, that guy's alive. Enough already. Oh damn.
Just 10 attributes. Oh, that took a while to get. For me? Or for them? Maybe you could help me out. You're my new best friend. Because I killed my other one in this game. Wait, are you attacking me? Jeremy? Watch your fire. Good, Jeremy? Good, my dude? Hey, Jeremy. What you got for me?
Hey, are you okay?
Hey, help yourself, buddy!
What you got?
Check behind the truck!
Oh, thanks, dude.
Take whatever you need!
Muscle relaxer? Sign me up. Dynamite. Another shoddy. Pop it out. Ghastly escaped. Ghastly. Where'd the, there it is. Got you, thank you. This is the weirdest vehicle. Hey, should I be... Yeah, I'm fine. Can I leave here? Are there stairs? Take me to... right to it? Nope. I don't know why I thought that. Alrighty, alrighty. Fuck you! Hold on, but how do I check? I gotta go all the way around. There's no steps on the side? I'll turn this bike around. I guess not. That's fine. I just try to be thorough, you know? Whee! Fuck. Alright. Oh shit! I'm not gonna be grabbed while doing that. Can I get through here? Is this game gonna dead end me right here? Is there a different way to get off? Am I fucked? Am I cooked, as they say? Okay, no, there's a way right here. Alright. I'm still very far away from my goal. Wait, is that a...
I'm toast if I don't find that zombie.
Oh, it's a hatchet. Okay, here we go. Alright, Sheldon. I'll save you. Damn, this thing's slippery. Alright, Sheldon. Wanna stop shooting the car, though? Whee! You wanna hang out? Go grab some sushi? Bye. You're welcome. Is that 200? Ah, it is. Man, I got further and further away. Here? No. Wait, actually, will it let me open that? Probably not. Of course not. Alright, it's fine. Let me in. Oh my god, this is kind of terrifying. Shit. How do I get in there? Alright, how do I get in there though? That's the real question. I was trying to get on the fucking fire truck. I have to enter into a completely different area over here on the bridge? Oh fuck. Alright, we're going back.
Come on, come on. Oh crap.
Yeah, this thing's gonna blow. Nice, I can drive that hearse too if I need, but let me see how I get in here. I don't suppose anybody's played this and knows how to get in there. I was just over here too. Do I have to approach it like I'm over here? How do I get in? This is fucked up. Let me in. Let me in. Like the Eric Andre meme. I'm about to Google it. How do I get in the fucking graveyard? Don't judge me. I'm dumb. Dead Rising 3, how to get into cemetery. Graveyard. You have to go underground. Early side quests, you have to reach a second area of the map, and for some reason I'm having difficulty finding. You continue the story, you'll go right through the cemetery, I believe, by the end of chapter 3. I had the same problem, but started on Nightmare, so the side quest already had expired. Figured it out. You have to go underground. The access is across the street. Or if you look up closely, it's on the north graveyard. You'll see the gray outline. Where we need to be. I don't see a tunnel. Oh. Oh. Okay, so I actually have to do the mission. Okay. God damn it, game. That's not clear. Alright, let me just do this on foot. Or maybe not.
Okay, this is bad.
Oh, chainsaw. What? Motherfucking chainsaw. What weapon can I replace? Well, this is about to die, so let me just... My pee-pee. I'll just... Oh, enemy cleaver. Oh yeah, dude. About to go back to my boy. I'll drop the shoddy. Chainsaw. Okay, alright. Cool. Now I have to give that to Ravi, but while I'm here, let me do this side quest. How am I doing on time? Oh, I'm doing great. But... That's right, out there. Okay. I know I'm going. Apple. He's on fire. Shit. Pick up the fucking thing. Thank you. That. Now, not invited. Alright. This is how I get through the thingy. I gotta go through the sewers. But here's the thing. Now that I have the chainsaw and the thing, is it better to go back and give it to homeboy all the way over here? I'm starting to think maybe, just because if I do... Well, no, because it's just going to want me to come back, I'm guessing, right? Yeah, I have all the time in the world is what this game is basically telling me. Also, I have to pee. Don't go anywhere. Don't touch that dial, okay? I'll be right back. I'm sorry, guys. 1 second. Back up here. Alright, I'll be right back, alright? I'm gonna lay down. Alright, peace out, Brixie. Thank you so much for the lurk. I hope you have a great night. I appreciate you a lot. I'll catch you later. Alright, thank you. I played Dead Rising, it is pretty good. Oh wow, dude, she's like farted blood out. She's like, bleh. It was in the pool.
Self-destruct sequence has been activated.
Oh shit.
I agree with all city improvement plans.
I agree with Jay. Take that shirt off. Give me some money. Give me money, I'll take my shirt off.
Finally,
I did. You did. But that wasn't on the table at the time. You're just being a good friend.
You lose everything you worked for your entire life. But I don't have to tell you what that's like. It really makes me wonder.
That good enough for you?
Time you spent in that
My shirt's off.
been a burden to you.
We're taking a quick break. I ain't taking a break for shit. Alright, my shirt's off. I didn't hear any of that. I was too busy fucking stripping for you guys. Somebody clip that. Attack. Yeah, I still gotta get on that. Oh shit, he's eating her butt. He's eating her butt. Don't eat my butt. Oh.
Like break the TV?
It was like 18 gigs for me, I think, on my PlayStation.
Blake,
something crazy like that.
anything repaired or even a simple bypass in any man.
If any of you take on any damage, get back to me ASAP, and I'll help you out.
Right there, Mickey T.
Dead bodies back.
Alright.
I have the recessive genes.
I'm locked, loaded, and ready to make shit dead.
Blah, blah, nigga. Alright, let's go. So,
I agree with all city improvement plans.
I agree with Jay. Take that shirt off. Give me some money. Give me money, I'll take my shirt off.
Finally,
I did. You did. You did. But that wasn't on the table at the time. You're just being a good friend.
You lose everything you worked for your entire life. But I don't have to tell you.
Sorry about that. Of course, LOL. Appreciate you. Alright, so part of me. Well, alright, I'm gonna get the Zombrex. It's probably gonna be like return over there, so I'll just stay here for now and do this side quest while I'm here. You know what I'm saying? Put bucket on. Oh, how that works. Okay. It's dark. It's spooky.
Holy shit!
Oh, that's a lot of dead bodies. I hope they stay down. Oh shit! Fuck you! Oh my god! All right. You know what? I got something for you, motherfuckers. Oops, I didn't mean to drop that. Oh god! Spoiled burrito? Probably not worth eating. Alright. Oh shit! Dude, it's too dark in here. I couldn't see. Oh god. So many zombies. That'd be really cool if I can see what's happening. Where's that one side quest though? Oh, is actually investigate the graveyard. All right.
Oh shit!
Hey. Oh yeah, nice. The water finished. Ooh, blueprint.
Let's not do that again.
Turn the fucking lights on, yeah? I'll put a football helmet on. Oh, it's a football. I can't read. No. Alright, it's that and electric crusher. So what does that entail? That is a handgun and a flashlight. Ooh, I should have done that. Metal Mary. We've got a foosball and a Bowie knife. That sounds kind of cool. This and a battery. Okay, sledgehammer and a battery. Oop. Oop. Sledgehammer.
Hell yeah!
A shotgun. And it's stoner bashing time. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, okay, yeah. So that's what the thing said. It said took him right through it. I was just worried about time, but I guess I'm on that difficulty where it doesn't fucking matter. Hey, Christine. Ooh, motorcycle engine and boxing gloves. Hey, girl. Oh, what the fuck? What are you doing? Can I sound that? Oh shit, am I gonna get like powers? I'm gonna talk to her. Just talk to her, man. Tell her how you feel. What's up? What you doing?
Hello?
Hey, you look like Callisto or Calypso, one of those from Pirates.
You talking about the zombies?
Dr. Shakaloo.
Are you saying your death angel likes it when zombies die?
Yes!
I killed the shit out of him.
To the angel of death and be rewarded. Son, don't cry while I say,
Lead over the sigil. Okay.
lead them over the sigil.
I got you, girl. We done? Alright. Come on. Come on. Sweet. Sweet. Easy. Which one's closer? Don't surprise me. Alright. Only 5? I can do all these at this rate. This isn't that bad. Oop. Come on. Come on. Oh, there's a statue right here. Thank you, thank you. And fuck him up! Fuck him up! Whee! It's okay. You're okay, buddy. It's getting a little spicy in there. I have to get out. Oh shit!
Oh, come on! Come on, Nick, run! Oh.
Stop. So... Nom nom? And then run. Get it, 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 get it. Okay. Alright. What do you have for me? A recipe, some points, some PP? Fucker. Observe or stop ritual? What are you doing though? I want to stop it. I'm curious. Is her big O? Oh shit! What was my fucking gift? God damn it! I didn't know she was gonna do that. Your fucking Bowie knife? I don't give a shit. What a waste. Oh, I got some PP out of it. That's fine. Get Zombrix from the morgue. Iron attribute. It's okay. I have 1. I'll hold on to him. 16. No. Alright. I did it all for the PP. PP. I love that. Where do you get that? Oh shit. How do I get in there? Okay, like this. I just hope the chapter doesn't end and I can still give what's-his-face the chainsaw what? And the favor. It looks like Fat Steven Dorff.
Sorry about that, buddy. I thought you were one of those zombies. You got kind of a shambling thing going on. You may want to perk it up a bit.
Do you need Zombrix too? I need it real bad.
Hey, no. I'm just here doing a job. I'm Gary. Who the hell are you?
Nick Ramos. Hey, do you work in there? Can you...
Ramos.
In there? No, not that kind of job. No, my boss is kind of a big shot around here. He helps people who are, desperate.
So he's a crook.
Hey, don't be rude. I like to say kingpin. I think it sounds a little classier. Anyways, I gotta get in there and I gotta get a body from my boss. Tell you what, why don't you climb up there? Let yourself into the roof, then let me in. I know where the Zombrex is in there. You help me, I help you.
Sure, man.
I want you climb up there.
You.
All right. You don't want the Zombrex. That's not my problem. I'll catch you later, kid, maybe.
No, wait. You got a deal.
All right. Here, let me do you a favor, Nick. Let me show you a little trick that'll come in handy sometime. Show you a little goodwill.
Oh, the bee.
All right, keep an eye on those zombies there, right? Watch this. Now, this is the best part.
Nice. I actually forgot how that worked. I can play one again.
Get your ass up there and let me in. Oh, goes off all the time, right when I'm in the middle of... Yes, boss. Yeah. No, sir, I'm climbing up there right now. I'm on it. I'm all over it. Yeah, I got it covered.
All right. Oop. Did I get it? I did. Nice. Well, that was about to die anyway, so let me hold on to this. Get the skylight. Oh. One? Just okay. No. All right. You guys trying to piss me off. Shut up! Let me drive. Yeah. I knew that because I'm smart, not because you told me. Don't take this from me. Fuck off. When I get that Zombrex, I'm gonna kill you. Be nice. Nice to your new friends, okay? Ooh, flare gun. Wee. It's this woman's cashmere sweater. Ah, not quite my tempo. Fire extinguisher locked. Oh. Bro. Bruh.
Well, it took you long enough, Nick, or whatever your name is. Let's get down to that meat locker.
Yeah. Come right in.
Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Get on time? I'm fine. To get their roof. See, what I want to do is I just want to get the Zombrex and get the fuck out so I can do the rest of these side missions. That's what I want to do. Because I'm missing out on valuable PP. Ooh, a fedora hat? My lady. Also didn't expect to be naked because of that.
Come on, don't be shy. It ain't our funeral.
Like fucking Dynasty Warriors right now.
Come on, man. Oh, no.
That do it? Oh, kinda. Oh, sorry, bro. Alright, bro. I will leave you. Okay, okay. Yeah, they do a better job of keeping up this time. Hamburger. I don't suppose anybody here has played through this game yet. Quite liking it so far.
We gotta find this girl. I want you to look at the names on the drawers. The name we're looking for is Nicole White.
Nicole White.
That's her alias, we think.
What about my Zombrex? I could die, man.
I know one Nicole, and she is white.
Okay to me.
What if I turn?
It's okay. I gotta go.
That's cool.
Look, this guy's a something the third. Yeah, Mom didn't get it right the first time. Huh, this girl don't want to come out, does she?
Prince. Iron Edge.
Holy crap, this was my ex-mother. Sorry, Martha.
Okay, let's see. Oh, shit, dead.
Don't pay me enough for this crap.
Not the meat cleaver. Hold on. What is the recipe? Machete and a meat cleaver. Oh, all right.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Hey, bitch. So I hear stuff. I thought I heard like a statue or something. The fridge? Can I open it? Oh, alright. Right out here. Ah, fuck it. Oh! Damn it. You are! You scared me! Alright, clearly it's not in here, but I'm just exploring a little, okay? Damn it, that scared me. Wait, is that a name up there? Nicole White?
Not this one. That's not her either. Damn. Where is she?
Backpack. Oh. Well, I can like use it and carry more shit like a normal game.
Looks like the right one, but it's locked. Gotta be keys somewhere down here.
Check over here.
Don't jump scare me again, please. Poor heart can't take it. Ease. Ease. Oh, they're there.
Got him. Got the keys. Let's unlock your dead girl and get to the Zombrex already.
You're dead, girl. Such a way of words.
Hey, this is Nicole White, but there's no body.
Not there.
Uh-oh.
Don't panic. Don't panic. Hey, must be in that back.
Unlock it now? No? Oh, okay. Nice. Here, blueprint. Gasoline canister. Okay, okay. Hold on. What do I have on me? Because I can't drop everything. I'm willing to lose... No, not the chainsaw or that, but I'm willing to give the shotgun up. Yes. And temporarily... Fuck off, I'm doing shit. Think my inventory yet? IED, nice. Yo, speaking of IEDs, has anybody seen Warfare? He's insane. What am I looking for? Player. Here we go. I only have one. about to spend all my points on just my inventory, dude.
Hey, get over here and help me with this damn coffin.
I'll come back for you, shotgun. Go, Gary. Jolteon. Yes! Oh, damn.
Annie.
Wait, oh shit, that is Annie.
No. Nah,
Oh.
I was wrong. It just looks like a girl I know.
Well, here, come on. Help me move her.
Can I bite you?
Wait a minute. I helped you in this place. Now it's your turn to help me.
Well, I don't know, pal. It looks like they're all out as Ombrix.
Fuck. He's some big ass hands. He looks like Fat Leisure Suit Larry.
For the inevitable.
I'm sorry. Really, I am. I'm sorry. Hey, do you want me to off you? So you don't gotta suffer.
Just hurry.
All right, okay, I'm hurrying. Coming right up.
Oh my God.
Shit.
I think the safety's on.
Can I see the gun? Let me see the gun.
By the way, you're welcome.
You just do it.
Okay, I'll do it. I'm not the best shot. Give me a moment. Oh. Shit. That was my last bullet.
It's convenient.
Wait a minute. Look at your wound. It's healing itself. I ain't never seen anything like that before.
But
What kind of freak are you?
I'm Ellie.
I guess I don't know.
Am I naturally immune?
I guess you don't need no Zombrex either.
It's...
It all worked out okay, you know. I mean, I didn't really want to shoot you. You seem like an okay guy.
Thanks.
Okay, let's go.
What am I doing with this corpse? Uncomfortable.
Okay, look, I need you to do me a favor now that you're not dying or nothing. I need you to drive this stiff over to my boss's club, the Diamond Penny. It's right here in Ingleton. I gotta get something very important.
Wait, listen. I gotta get back to my friends. We might have a way out of here. We found an old plane. We just need to find a few things to get it fixed.
My boss is very well connected. You understand what I'm saying? Very well connected. I'm sure he could get you fuel, whatever you need for the plane. Just leave her in the car. I'll meet you in the club, all right? Come on, I gotta go.
I like this guy's voice.
I'll be there. Yeah, boss.
We get some big, like, fucking Fred Flintstone hands. Or that guy. You know that big buff guy with the giant freak hands? Like, he's wearing Hulk hands, and those are his real hands? I don't know his name, but he looks like that guy to me. You know what I'm talking about. It is pretty close. Also... Oh, gun store's right here. Let me do that first. Fuck you. Oh yeah, you're freaks, aren't you? Yeah.
Get off my car! Don't see the point of carrying on!
Fuck you! Oh shit. Alright, it's yeah, these psychos. Ooh, gun. How do I get up there? That's the question. Hold up. Wait a minute. Oh shit. Here we go. Hey, oh, what up, Simon?
Are you okay?
Why even bother going on? We're all dead! If I had my tarot cards, maybe!
Arrow cards. Hold on, I'm about to get a fucking gun. Hold on.
Zombies go right for you.
Who's throwing shit? Oh, you're down there. What do you need, dude?
You really killing yourself? My cards predicted the outbreak before it occurred. That's how I know it's go down. Is there hope? I knew the fool was the devil.
Oh, there you are.
I don't
Okay, all right, I'll look for him. Just calm down and no yelling, okay?
Listen to the woman, John. All right, let's go. Am I good on time? Yeah. Okay, okay. I'm not used to it being this forgiving. You guys have played Dead Rising games before. It's usually pretty like go, go, go. No, we are still up late, Cracker. Well, wait, what? I was talking about Dead Rising and the like fucked up time limits sometimes. Looking for tarot cards, brother. What did I ask? Sorry. Shut up. Chop and talk. I know this one seems to give you more time. Oh yeah, no, I really appreciate that. Like it's convenient. Alright, this is about to break. Hope you're having a good night, dude. Thanks for hanging out. I love you. Relax. Wait. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I will like it more time to explore. Yeah. Love you too, Bish. Aw. Bish. Yeah, like game wise, I'm liking this one more. Working on the cosplay. Dude, yeah, that picture that you showed was really cool. I would like to see more. I would like to see the baby. Let's go. I have no idea if I'm going the right way or not. It's 1, 2, 3. Okay, 25 years. Getting a dagger done? Hell yeah. Just gonna turn out awesome. Dude, like all your cosplays always turn out really well. You have like that eye, the attention to detail. Sound. Alright, where the fuck? Closest one is over here, I guess. Trying. I thought it was right there, but let me see. Shit. Oh shit. Oh. That's it. Oh, they're armored. This is going to be the best one. Yeah, I'm excited. Dude, I remember the first time I was like, oh, this guy is cool. Well, not like that, but like I meant as far as creating these kinds of things. It was your fucking your Lancer that you made. Ah shit. Ah shit. What the fuck is the tarot card? 1, 2, 3, 4, and there's supposed to be one over here. Lance is dope. Yeah, do you still have it? So now that you have that, you should, I think I still have it. You should do, it's a challenge, isn't it? This isn't this right now. You should make like a cog armor. It's like in the games. Where is this motherfucker's tarot card? Is it in here? Ya puta. Handgun. It's adorable. Warm winter jacket? Yeah, let's do it. Boing. See where these fucking things are located. Saw some cars. It's not even in here. Why was it telling me to go over here? Can I upgrade? Oh no, I already fucked up. It's melee. That's what I should be doing too. Make them last longer. Alright, let me split up, I guess. Or not split up, you know what I mean. I like the music. Okay, there's one. Not sure I do anymore. No, where would it have gone?
That was intense.
It's just saving space. Out with the old. Oh, there it is. Tenderizers. Garbage, maybe? Oh, dang. I don't remember, though. That's fair. I hope you have it, just because it was so fucking cool. Like, I saw that and I was like, proud of you.
That's it.
Map over. Oh, I can't over here. Hold on. I gotta take care of this real quick. Let me eat. You stay down. Oh, Chinese food. That's what I want. There we go. This is gonna break soon anyway, but I'm making progress. Where you at? Okay, here you are. Man, if these zombies don't kill her, I will. Holy shit, I'm fucking up. Boom! Oh, I got her. Bye. Right now, where? Got a Porygon, bruh.
Oh man.
Wait, where is it? Oh, there it is.
Okay, this is them.
Oh yeah, I was here earlier. Lurk mode activated. Alright, thank you for the lurk, buddy. Get through here? Probably not. I have to go around the long way. Making progress the long way. Actually, now that I'm back here, can I pick up that dude's weapon again? That'd be fucking awesome if I could. No. Time use. What? Alright, let's get the fuck out of here. Alright. Yeah. They go around. Oh, let me check the map though. Where am I? Okay. Yeah, leave the plaza and go right there. Playground? Alright.
Got it.
One more. Oh, I hear a blueprint. It's up here, isn't it? Yeah. I see. All right, let me get that. How do I get up there though? That's fine. Fucking. Oh, time. It's whatever. I'll come back to it. Alright, I'm gonna try this one again. So, yeah, I got the cars, boxing, barber's chair, park, flying. In the Flying Duck Travel Center. If I found that one or not. Okay, not that way. Damn. Only because it gives me 600 PP, but oh fuck. It says it's in that building? Let me see if I can get in the building then. From down here. Barbershop. Oh, okay. I was in the wrong spot. Alright, we're good.
Got it.
Eureka! I also unmark that. I like how they just fall from the fucking roof. Music sounds almost like X-Men music. No. Oh fuck. It was, yeah, it's over here. I got your fucking tarot cards, bro.
I've got your cards right here. But honestly, I think we should screw what they say and just fight our way out of here.
You're brilliant. You are, you know. You're absolutely bloody brilliant. You're the Emperor, I suspect.
Cool. I don't really get that part.
I tell you, your secrets, my darling cards. Chariot, up. The tower, fly me.
I don't give a shit.
Oh, is chariot and tower a good thing or a bad thing?
The tower means revelations await. Remember the cards, remember wrong. Chop, chop, let's go! Come on now! Good show, son.
Follow me? Oh, nice. I had something to give you. We're taking TV.
Here.
Gotta dodge that. Good shit, bro. Move. Alright, now we gotta get in the car and get the fuck out.
Get off!
In the car.
Hitching a ride!
Okay, cool, cool, cool. Okay.
Son of a bitch! Someone shut them off!
Music though.
Hello? Anybody in here?
Local authorities report that quarantine stations in Los Perdidos are successfully chipping and evacuating survivors of the
Tight.
What the hell?
The Secretary of Defense, former General John Hemlock, said today that as a purely preventative measure, chipping is strongly encouraged for everyone in the population.
Fuck! Am I still able to do my side mission? Hope so. Good night, broski. Oh, good night. I missed that. Do I still have the same side quest?
Supposed to know where the hell she is. I hate this thing. All right, well, the boss ain't too happy. Turns out that's the wrong girl. You gotta help me find the right one.
Me? I already did what you asked.
Yeah, and I taught you my trick with the beast, so I'd say we're even.
Why does your boss want to find someone so bad that'll wait around when a bomb's gonna go off? Don't you want to get out of here, Gary?
Whatever. Not like I got any reason to live anyway.
I don't be that way, bro.
Listen, you said you knew a girl who looked like that girl. Annie, you said her name was Annie. And maybe that's the girl he's looking for. So why don't you go bring her back here, and we'll give you anything you want. We'll give you fuel for your plane, your friends, whatever.
I don't know if I could do that to her. It's nothing personal, but...
All right. Well, don't let the big bomb hit you in the ass on your way out.
I'll have to ask my boss if she knows where she went. She seems
I knew I
to
should
know
have
a lot about
zigzagged.
where
I
she
even
went.
asked. I was like, should I zigzag?
Okay.
I go back with stuff.
Okay.
Oh shit! What up, Panda? Sorry, I missed your message. Sorry. Everything's red on my end and orange. Yeah, I still have the. Okay, cool. I'm gonna activate that one. The plane. All right, sick. All right, this is gonna be a big ass detour, but we're good. We just need to find a vehicle. Some food too. Ooh, shit. What's this? Fire arrows. So it's crossbow and motor oil. Crossbow. And motor oil. Sick. And pick this one back up. Actually, no, pick this up. I'm not gonna lie, that mirror actually freaked me out for a second. Anyways, that's what it was.
Bro, got some old lady making soup in those crack houses in England. Check it.
Gems? Oh, those always come in handy, but I need these. Okay, I have... That's gonna die soon, but maybe I... It's fine. There's a blueprint over there. Maybe that's part of it. Let's see. What do we got? What do we got? Vehicle blueprints? Junk truck? And a muscle car. Okay. Let me eat some chips or something and get the fuck out. Cleaner? I don't think I can eat that. Get drunk. Here, mine. Alright. Ooh, bitch. Alright. So yeah, we're gonna leave here. Hop in, pimp. Oh wait, no. I can't combine these? Oh, here we go. I like the music too. It's like, you know, like the 80s, you know, zombie music. Oh, was I supposed to leave already? Did I fuck up? I'm working on it. Wait, did I fuck up? Oh, it's nighttime now.
After dark, when their hunger and strength apparently increases.
They got dead lighted.
Mutation of the virus.
Okay, I didn't know that. Dude, I thought I wasted time and like the bomb was gonna happen or something, but alright, like it didn't. Hop in, bro. Alright, and we're gonna go a long way. Yeah, oh, I connect that way? Can. I remember that was blocked last time. So I'm gonna go this way. We're gonna, yeah. Cut through and then go there. Actually, does Homeboy still have time? He does. Oh shit. I'm going the wrong way. Fuck. Of course I am. There we go.
Nick, wimpy-looking kid bobbing on top of some office by the construction in Almuda.
Damn it. He really wants me to zigzag. He's got time. I just wanna love thy neighbor, investigate the houses, investigate the structure. Let me get this one out of the way just so I can not worry about this one anymore. Fuck. Yeah. All the PP. All your PPR belong to us. Going. Okay. Go left. Will it let me? Yeah, it will. Right? Is that what it wants me to do? Yeah, left and then, yeah, just... game's insane. Alright, and I'm going this way, and let me just turn in that quest over here with my homie. Ravi, I think that was his name. He was in here, right? This one. Right, follow me, bro. Coming? Yeah. Let me try. Oh my god, there's a cleaver right here. I swear to god, there's a chainsaw right here too. I'm gonna freak the fuck out. Here, you take this. It's probably better than the TV.
There. That'll work.
Nope, that's not what I wanted to do.
Bless you.
Go. I didn't mean to do that. Can I still pick it up? Alright, homie. What you got?
I told you, I'm not going anywhere until I get a meat cleaver and a chainsaw.
Saw?
Check it out. Lovely. Found you a chainsaw.
A cleaver. Whine, you little bitch.
Dangerous, but I still need the meat cleaver to really make it work.
There. That's everything you need.
Hope I've earned this.
Let's make this puppy.
Okay. I think I can do this. I hope I can do this.
What are you doing? Oh shit, where are you going, buddy? What are you doing?
Oh, yeah. It looks
Look
so
at that.
dangerous. Shit. How am I supposed to even use this thing? I'll kill myself. Maybe I can just come with you?
Sure.
You idiot.
Take, another life or... Let's pipe. Here, take this for you, buddy. That.
Thank you. I don't want your friends to carry me as extra baggage, so I'll find somewhere safe.
Bitch, you just said you'll come with me. Alright, whatever. They have that recipe too? Is that how that works? Fucking blueprint? Yeah! Alright, actually do have to do these over here. Love thy neighbor. Gotta go the long way. Sorry, I can't stop it with that fucking meme. Let me go up here though. Ooh, can I open that? Elevator. Stupid. Here, out the kitchen. My car is over here. It's hopefully still in running condition. Yeah, looks good. Sweet. Get in. Get in, buddy.
Stop that now!
Alright, so we're gonna get back on the highway. This over here. It's this way, I think. Yep. Left side, that's what I did last time. We're like doing that. Yeah, the junk truck. This is a good one. Alright, go right. So investigate the houses. We're gonna do that. I think I actually have to find a safe house, because then I can't play this all night. Much as I'd love to, I'm trying to fix my awful sleep schedule. Are there any safe houses nearby? There is. Okay. All right. That's what we're gonna do. I need to save. I don't know if the game autosaves or not. Oh yeah. This guy can follow me up here, right? You can climb, right, buddy? Simon? Simon! Can you? Simon? There you are. Here, buddy. Simon? Simon says get up here. Alright, good luck, buddy. I'm gonna go save. I'm rooting for you. A snack. A little toilet snack. Alright, game is saved, everybody. So 1 second. 1 second. Step into my office, okay? Alright. Hi, everybody. It's me, Joey. We are gonna raid out. So I just wanted to say a quick thank you to everybody. Big thank you goes out to Brixie for the raid. Thanks for hanging out. You know, you guys watching and stuff, chit-chatting. It means a lot. Like, I'm only here like half for the game. The other half is just geeking out with people, you know? That's what's fun. I like it. But we are gonna see who's live. Anybody? You guys want to see some more horror? There's what's Midnight Walk? Apparently it's spooky. Oh, that looks pretty good. Oh, I know exactly what this is. Okay. We are going to raid out to Lovely Lotus. She's very sweet and she plays a lot of cool games. A lot of spookies and stuff, but you'll love her. She's cooler than me. So we're gonna raid out to her, and I just want all of you guys to have just the best night. Oh shit. I couldn't hear you in the chaos. Were you yelling at me the whole time? That cat wants my attention. You'll get it in a bit. Let me raid out BB. All right. Yeah, we're gonna raid Lovely Lotus. Good night, everybody. Raid X Lovely Lotus X. All that right? I did. All right. Peace out. Get some rest. Drink some water, and be good. Be excellent to each other. And good night. Oh, hold on. I fucked up. I like riding the waves so I can see the raid. That makes sense. All right. GG. Oh, thank you, Angel. You're still here. Bye. I appreciate you. Thought you were lurking. Bye-bye.
Shatter, thank you for the raid. Welcome in, our winning son. Yeah, we're